Alright, welcome to a new video. This is going to be a fixing video. I have my buddy's car. I built this engine a few months ago. It's a Outfront Motorsports closed deck block. Did forged pistons, they're JE, and then has forged rods in it. The video's on my channel, the actual build. He's having a misfire issue, and we're going to do, I'm gonna pull plugs out and kind of see how everything looks. And I think I'm gonna swap the turbo. I may actually not do that, I might just keep this turbo for now. I'm not quite sure yet. I'm going back and forth on what I wanna do exactly. But I'm going to remove the external wastegate, make sure the springs look good. I'll do that all on video so you can kind of see the whole process possibly. I'll record as much as I can and dive into what's exactly going on with this car. When I get into boost and once I pull knock, no matter how much timing I pull out, no matter how much fuel I put into it, the AVCS solenoid on the driver's side has no power to it. So I might look into why it's doing that, or why it has no power, obviously. And I guess I'll kind of just dig into this whole process of diagnosing, just in case anyone has the same problem where it wants to cut boost no matter what you're doing. This has MERB mod on it, so if I want to, I can go full speed density, but I'm not currently doing that. I want to try to do mass airflow. It's currently running on a VF48 turbo, so there's no real reason to go on speed density yet, in my opinion, until I get a bigger turbo and I either max out the mass airflow, or I just want to be kind of a little bit more accurate with everything instead of worrying about the mass airflow numbers. Putting an IET sensor in, it already has a 4-bar map sensor, so I could get a little bit more accurate and a little bit kind of easier tuning, in my opinion. So when I was driving this car a couple days ago, it was misfiring on cylinder 1 pretty bad. I realized we never did spark plugs in the build series, so I just got some one-step Kohler plugs from Rally Sport Direct, and I'm going to pull cylinder 1, which is right down here. I'm going to pull this intake manifold, or this intake off, and let's get that plug out. Alright, intake's off. Now I'm going to use a 12 and a basic ratchet and pull that coil pack right there out and get the spark plug out. I can't really say the spark plug looks all that bad. I mean, for it saying that it's knocking or whatever, I mean, it smells decent. It looks like it's burning pretty correctly. It's not too rich, it's not too lean. I'm thinking these spark plugs just aren't firing correctly. I've seen that on builds. This engine originally had blown up, a cylinder had cracked, and so a bunch of coolant went all over. That might be the whole issue. I'm gonna put some new spark plugs in this, and then probably drive it in a couple of days. Obviously, you'll just see a video on the next step. You'll see the next video here after probably getting new spark plugs in. Here's number 3. Again, does not look bad at all. Like I said, I think they may not be firing correctly because of it when it went out, so I'll put new plugs in. I think I'm gonna stick with this turbo for now, but I'm gonna pull this turbo off and pull the external wastegate off and really dive in deep and see what's actually wrong with this car. All right, I'm gonna pull the external wastegate off. I don't think you can see in this video, but it's right down there. I'm gonna pull it off and hopefully this doesn't take me too long. Finally got this thing out. It's kind of wet back here, but definitely a leaky looking thing. Take it apart and kind of see how it looks inside. Alrighty, back this morning. I had to stop yesterday, I had to go to work. The springs I pulled out of this were a yellow one and a blue one, and then the gray, like the plain, and it's supposed to be right there around 14 or 15 pounds of boost. I just put in a white and a blue, I believe, and then a green, I think is what the colors were. Anyways, it's supposed to be closer to between 18 and 20 PSI. So more boost to open the wastegate up and make sure the wastegate's working correctly. And now I'm gonna put the wastegate back in the car. All right, external wastegate's back on. Show you that down there if you can see this. Bless me. It's right there. Got that clamped nice and tight. and dump tube is looking pretty. All right, I'm gonna get the line on there and get it hooked up to the boost controller, and then I'm going to pull the spark plugs out of this side and then put the new ones in, and get this thing running, and probably drive this thing to work and see how she does, if she still wants it to have knock or misfires, what's going on. And there's the last plug. Looks pretty good. All right, I'm gonna swap plugs out and get this bad boy running and see how she does. Spark plugs back in, coil packs back in. You just saw me put all the other inner parts on. Next I'm gonna swap out boost controller and we're gonna take this for a drive. Alrighty, boost controller is now installed. This side goes to the wastegate, this side goes to the turbo. See if that's hooked up there, and down there you can see it's plumbed to the side of the wastegate like it's supposed to be. We're gonna start this in just a minute and see how this goes. Alright, a little bit of an update on Nick's car. So the issue that I had with this car is every time I would get in a boost, it would throw a ton of knock and you could almost like hear it, but there wasn't any reason. Pulling timing, adding fuel, pulling boost, I mean like 10 pounds of boost, 8 degrees of timing, there was no reason, but it was pulling tons of timing. And the left AVCS valve on the head, driver's side, it had no voltage. It wouldn't change, nothing was happening. And originally he had a different ECU. He had a different ECU in the car, a stock one that was married to like MERT mod, and at that time I didn't have access to MERT mod, so he got a different ECU, an OEM one. We married it on, changed the map, everything, and that's when we started having that weird issue. And I always thought it was just a wiring issue, that something when we put the engine together or something happened with the wires cutting or not, you know, whatever. Anyhow, but I called my buddy in Montana and I decided that I should, instead of just looking at wires, I should maybe try the other ECU. And I plugged out of the ECU in, pulled the tune off right away. It was MERT mod, but I can see it now. I know how to look at that. And then all of a sudden the AVCS sensor started working. So that other ECU had like a bad ground for that sensor, I'm assuming, or something along the lines of that. Anyhow. So now I can tune the car. We went for a couple of drives the other day. It didn't make very much boost, but it's pulling. It's not pulling timing, and so I pulled the other turbo off. I think the VF48 that's currently on there is smoked. I think the VF48 that's currently on there is the seals are leaking, and so I pulled the turbo off. I got his other turbo ready. It's an APS like 30. It's a APS 56 or 65 though. We've got the turbo right here, the VF48. The backside, pretty caked. I don't know if it's actually leaking, but I'm imagining it is. The other turbo I just put on is APS 65, I believe. See it right there, or SR56, my bad. Going to install this thing fully. I got the bolts already tightened. There's 3 on the bottom of the turbo. The downpipe needs to be put on. Coolant and oil ends need to be tightened the rest of the way, and then hook the boost controller up, and then probably take this for a drive and kind of see where we're at. Alrighty, the next morning, turbo is on. Everything's hooked up correctly. The oil line on the bottom is a little bit not as tight as I like, so I'm gonna go drive it and see if it leaks or not. Got my laptop here. I'm gonna flash a new tune on. Change to a different boost controller, and we're gonna see kind of how this car likes it now. First drive, no check engine lights on. She's idling well, and I'm gonna see if launch control works here real quick, just as far as catching. Oh yeah, Monster Tool definitely works. Damn, he's fast. So I did a pull, hit 15 pounds boost. It's absolutely ripping. It's making lots of power. It is currently smoking because I just did a turbo, so it's I'm letting all the coolant and oil burn off, but she's running great. As you can see, adding almost zero fuel. Jet duty cycle is just 80% at 15 pounds of boost, and it's making grams per revolution 390. So obviously that's not exact horsepower, but it's making over 350, I bet. 350 area at least. Anyhow, very excited. Thank you for watching this video. Going to check this oil line, make sure it's not leaking, and try to bring this boost up to closer to 20. But this car's already ripping. It's faster than it's ever been in its life that I know of. Pretty cool to see.